And I'm like, I can't publish this. I
Yes.
can't.
Yes, you
I
can.
can't do this.
And so even though starting over sucks, I had to get in this mind space of like, I did it once. I can do it again. Oh, I think it's so cool. So many people are just willing to talk about whatever because you have this clout.
The whole experience opened my eyes as to what is possible and what's within reach. You just casually mentioned like 3 really intense things that you went through
Yeah.
all within like a year or 2. We were at Disneyland of all places celebrating
No.
either 1 or 2 million subscribers. I don't remember which. Today, I am joined by the legendary Dusti Kae. Dusty, how are you?
Yes, I like that intro. Really good. How are you?
Sweet. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you. I'm
Good.
really excited to talk to you because while this is the first time we've actually ever met,
Mhm.
I'm very familiar with your YouTube channel. It kind of came up the same time our YouTube channel came
Yep.
up. And I think we shared a lot of traffic with the Incredibles videos
Oh,
back in the
yes.
day.
Oh, those are great videos.
It's so fun. Such a good time.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then you and I experienced, and our peers experienced this like massive loss in 2020. It's
Yeah.
just kind of hard to explain to people. But I want to
Yeah.
dive into that. I want to dive into how you bounce back, dive into what you're doing now, and I think there's like a really epic story that should be told here.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to jump in.
Me too. Yeah. That sounds
So,
great.
how did you start your YouTube channel, Daya Daily? And for those that aren't familiar, I'm sure everyone is, but those that aren't familiar, Daya Daily has almost 2 million subscribers, over 1 billion views. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Um, how did you
Awesome.
start it?
It was kind of a crazy fluke. So I went to school for film. That was my major in college. And then I kind of let that go when I got married and had kids and was just like, oh, I don't, I stay at home mom. And then I went back to work and I became a makeup artist and I was doing makeup and I had clients that were like, we would love you to do like online videos so we know how to do makeup. And so I was like,
Uh,
okay. So I put a couple of those out and I was like, I just don't know if I want to be like a makeup YouTuber. And like I liked watching them, but my daughter started watching me make these videos and she was like, Mom, I want to make a makeup YouTube video. And I was like, okay, sure. So this was 8 years ago. We did our very first video. And I just set up the camera and just like let her do her thing. And she just recorded it. And then didn't think anything of it. And then like a year later, she said it again, like, Mom, she was playing with her cousin. And she was like, we want to do a YouTube video and we want to dress up like Shimmer and Shine, which
mhm.
was like these little genies that were like, it's a popular Nickelodeon cartoon. And so I was like, yeah, sure, we can do that. So I set these girls up and just did this little thing. And then I edited it because that was my background. I knew how to do some editing. And then I just posted it to YouTube and didn't think anything of it. And then, like a week later, my daughter comes to me and was like, Mom, my video's on the front of YouTube. And I was like, what? And I didn't know anything really about YouTube.
Right.
And so I went into her video and it had 1 million views. And I was like, what on earth is happening? And then it just kind of like kept spiraling, like it just kept going and going and getting more views. And like every hour, like just kept building and building. And I was just like shocked. I was like,
Right.
what in the world? And so then I was like, okay, well, like, let's do another one. Let's see where this goes. And so we did another one and we posted it the next week. And that one started doing the same thing. And I was when that first video, like when
Right.
that happens, you are just like, I don't know, at least me, I didn't know anything about YouTube and was just like, whoa, this is really cool. And then you see like the money that you make from that one video. And I'm like, what the heck? We made $2,000 from this video? Like,
Right.
no way. So let's keep going. And so we just started posting videos and my kids they wanted to play games and dress up and pretend. And so I was like, yeah, I can do this. And so I quit all my jobs, like, gosh, probably 6 months later. And it just became this full-time machine that just took off. And so that's how it got started.
That's incredible. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
6 months after
crazy.
I started Epic Toy Channel, I quit my job too. I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, like we could actually make money doing this. This is
Yes.
crazy."
Yes. And you're playing with your kids,
And
and
you're
it's
playing
just
with your
like,
kids.
it's just so fun. But
And and then what happened was in 2020, in effort of protecting children,
mhm,
Congress enforced, this law called COPPA,
mhm. Yep.
Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, I think it is.
Yeah.
And it where were do you know where you were? Like, there's a few times in my life where I can,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
tell you exactly where I was when I got the news or
Oh,
saw
yeah.
something. Do you remember where you were when you learned, like, the impact that this law was gonna have on your channel?
Oh, yeah. Yes. So at the time I was streaming on Twitch,
Oh,
and
cool.
I had just got done with a stream, and I remember getting like the notification and starting hearing about it, and it was late at night. My kids were asleep, and I learned about it, and just thought, this doesn't sound good. This is not good. And yeah, I remember that exact moment. And just, I was actually in this room, just sitting over there. And I was just like, oh no. Yeah.
Well, we were at Disneyland of all places celebrating
No.
either 1
Oh.
or 2,000,000 subscribers. I don't remember which. I think it was
Oh.
2,000,000. And we were, like, so stoked for this big milestone that we hit.
Oh, yeah.
And then we
True.
realized that COPPA's really probably, like, pushed by Nickelodeon and Disney, so we're, like,
Totally.
feeding the mouse there in Anaheim
As you're
while
there.
they're taking away our income.
Oh no, that's ironic.
It is. Well, one of the things that bothered me the most about it, it still does probably, is if it was really about protecting the children, I would be all for
No,
it.
right.
But now my kids see ads for horror films and pharmaceuticals and, like,
Yeah.
weird stuff instead
Yep.
of Nerf blasters
Mhm.
and kid cartoons,
Yep.
and we will get some ads like that served before our videos, but for the
Sure.
most part, that's what happened. So, for everyone listening, we took an 80 to 90% pay cut
Yep.
with this law because, an 8-year-old is not interested in learning about the, I don't know, automotive repair center down the road.
Weird.
So, yeah, so the automotive place doesn't wanna spend money reaching children for obvious reasons.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
all of that happened when Disney Plus was launched, and it's like, "Whoa,
Yep.
what's actually
Yep.
happening here?"
Oh, so much behind the scenes. Yeah. I think overall, it needed more regulation, but the
Yeah,
things that they put in place just did not make sense. Still doesn't make sense to
right,
me. I just think, okay, well, we want to be more specific with what we show children. So let's make ads more personalized for children. Let's make sure that we are giving ads and putting things in front of children that are actually made for kids. Like,
right.
why can why can Disney do that? Why can they have ads geared towards children? But it just doesn't make any sense when
Well,
you
when
break
you
it
look at the number of views you got a month or we got a month or,
down.
these other channels got a month in the kid and family space, we were serious competitors to
Huge.
Disney and Nickelodeon, like,
Mhm.
at a real level. I mean,
Yeah.
most we ever got a day, I'd have to look, but probably 1.3 or maybe 1.5 million views in a day, and,
Yeah.
like, compare that to
It
popular
was
shows on these.
huge.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I
of course. Well, and yeah, so you think about that, and of course they had to do something to try
right,
to shift that.
right.
It's so unfortunate, but
Did
yeah.
you try to pivot to being over 13?
Yeah, so when let's see, this was 3 years ago. So my daughter was 10,
Okay,
and clearly our channel was made for kids. I mean,
yeah,
it was my children in it. It was geared towards children.
right,
So at the time, my game plan, and I had a manager at the time that we were trying to like decide what to do. We were like, okay, let's just ride this out. And it kind of it kind of stunk because at the same time that all of this hit, our channel got hacked. And so it
oh
was
my
like this
gosh.
perfect storm of like the worst case scenario that could have happened for our channel.
Oh,
Oh, it was awful. And trying to get that back killed our views already. And then you had Kappa come out right on top of that at the exact same time. It just murdered our channel. And so,
wow,
I'd always gone into YouTube with the notion of like, I just want my kids to have fun. Like I
right,
don't but there's the sense that when you quit your job and you're doing this as a full-time career, that becomes really scary because you're so used to making a certain amount of money. And then all of a sudden that like you said, our income went down 90%.
Right.
And so
All at
uh,
once.
all at once,
All
yeah,
at once.
it was crazy. And it just murdered views. It
Yeah.
tanked everything. And so even the views that you were getting pennies
Right.
for what you were putting out. And so, our thing was like, okay, well, let's let it settle. Let's let the dust settle and like see what actually happens, give it like a year. And so we just kind of kept creating content like we were, but it gets really discouraging when you're putting out content and now nobody's seeing it. And
Right.
you're
Right.
spending all this money into production and like ours, we spent lots of money on costuming and makeup and just so many aspects of it that it was like, we can't keep running it like this. So after like a year, we kind of decided to like pull back and slow down a little bit, maybe start pivoting the channel because in a couple of years she was going to be 13. And so we thought, okay, like let's kind of just get ready to sort of transition her channel to a teen channel. And so she just turned 14. So last year when she turned 13, we'd kind of been pivoting to more of like a teen audience,
Nice.
but it just hasn't picked up. Like all of our stuff, the algorithm still reads it as kids. It's a kids
Right.
channel. And
Right.
so we went back and forth like, do we start a new channel? Do we keep the channel that we have? Like, it's such a shame to lose out on almost 2 million subscribers.
Right.
But it's like, what do you do?
What do you
So
do?
I don't know. I still don't have the answer to that, to be honest. Like with her channel, luckily I've been able to pivot and do different things in social media that,
Mhm.
pays the bills. But her channel is just for fun anymore. And it in
Right.
the hopes that maybe one day her teen stuff will take off like her kid stuff did. But so far that hasn't happened. So
We've tried to pivot a couple times, and we've renamed it. And,
ooh, yeah,
we traveled the UK for 6 months and tried to make it a travel channel. But then at the end of the day, what we realized is, sure, you're watching this travel video or like a challenge, and then on the side, you see the Octonauts videos and Shimmer and
yep,
Shine,
yep.
and then, all this other
But the
stuff that
algorithm is still just reading it that way.
yeah. So it is hard to know what to do. And I don't know, sometimes when I talk about these things with people who are not YouTubers who didn't experience what we experienced, I
Mhm.
feel a little silly. Like,
Mm,
woe is me. I have 2 million
yeah.
subscribers. I can't do it. But at the end of the day, like I started creating content on a daily basis in 2010.
Yeah.
Like this has been
Yeah.
my life's work.
Well, and it becomes your baby. And to have that like success and then to just and I think the hardest part is like it was out of our control. Like there was
Yeah.
nothing you could do. And so it was so defeating, at least for me, to be like, I built this giant to just there's nothing I can do.
There's nothing you can do. And for like in some weird way, they almost made us feel like, I don't know, predators that how like we would want
Yeah.
to make videos for children. It's like
Yeah.
they're wholesome. It's silly
Yes.
fun.
Absolutely. And that's just it, is that I understand a lot of this came about because there are people out there that are
Yeah.
not making good things for children.
Right.
And so they ruin it for the rest of us. But
Right.
that's what's so
Right.
frustrating is so many people were affected by it that were good people putting out good content for kids. And it killed a lot of I know so many friends that had to stop because you can't do it. It's not viable.
Yeah. Well, and this also happened in 2020 when like COVID lockdown and everything was in place.
Yeah.
So it was an intense time in life. Like things
Gosh.
were
It was like
crazy.
one thing after another, man.
Right.
Ugh.
Right. Are you guys on Roku at all?
Yes.
You
Yep.
are? Cool.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we got on with them. We don't make a ton from that,
Sure.
but it's fine. It's repurposing the videos that we used and
Yeah.
but
Well, for
yeah.
us, I'm sure we're with the same company probably, but it's hands free and we make more on
Yes.
Roku than we do YouTube. So it's like,
Really.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
We
mean,
don't
it's not that much money. It's not that
know.
much money, but
Mm-mm.
yeah, it's hands free.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to be able to repurpose that, but yeah, it's just crazy when you go from what you were making and the views you were getting. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to imagine, but like, I mean, I think our top video got like 183 million views. Like that amount of views is insane to
It
now
it
getting like our
is.
videos get maybe 10,000 views, you know, it's just, and you do feel silly because people are like, oh, boohoo. But it's like, you don't
10,000 views, but it's
know.
like, dude,
I
no.
know you don't even
Yeah.
know.
Our biggest one, I think, is 188 million. So right in
Yeah.
the same
Yep.
space as you.
Probably the same like Incredibles videos. Those were
Yeah, something. Yeah.
fire at that time.
What have you done to kind of bounce back? I see you're doing a lot of stuff on TikTok and Instagram. Like, what's next for you?
Yeah, that's kind of, gosh, I feel like ever since this happened, I've been in kind of a slump of figuring out like next moves and what I want to do with my life.
Hey, like you created an empire, and due to no fault of your own, the empire was kind of told it can't be an empire anymore. Like,
Yeah.
that's freaking crazy.
Yeah. It was super hard. I think it did a lot on me more mentally than I even realized.
Hmm.
Um, I'm such a like go-getter person that I'm like, if there's a problem, you fix it. Like you figure it out and
Hmm.
you just power through it. And when everything that I was trying to do wasn't working, it just became so frustrating and just felt like, okay, now I'm back to square one. Like, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? Um, but you know, that opened up a lot of creativity in other areas. You know, I recognize too that like my kids might not always want to do YouTube. And
Yep.
I don't ever want it to be a thing that they feel obligated to do.
Right.
As long as they still love it, I'll do it. Like that's why we still put out videos, is because my
Right.
kids still are begging me to make YouTube videos every single week because
Oh,
it's
I
what
love
they
it.
love to do.
Right.
And so it's like, yeah, we don't make a ton from it anymore, but you know, so I just keep that going for them. So for me, yeah, I moved over to like doing my own stuff on Twitch and Instagram, um, just other platforms, just trying to diversify. And that was one thing that I learned from all of this. Like, you can't count on any platform to have your back ever.
No.
They're always going to take care of themselves and you don't own anything. And so my big thing that I've been trying to build is like my own brand. And everyone says like email lists, like get people's emails so that you have a way to communicate with people, and to be able to sell to people. And so that's kind of what I've been working on anymore, is just kind of my own content creation on different platforms. And we still do the YouTube stuff. And maybe one day it'll change. Like we've had like weird videos go off all of a sudden,
Oh,
like
really?
newer ones. Yeah, just weird. That just pop off and gain a lot of traction for a second and then it just dies again. And so I don't know, it's just weird because, you know, back in the day that would happen and it would just kind of grow and grow and grow.
Right.
And that's not really what it's like anymore. Like you get a video that does that, which is great, but then I don't know if it's just our algorithm is just like stuck, that it
Mm.
just can't push past to get to the right audience anymore. Like we finally got comments back because that was one thing that caught my attention
Oh.
away. And so we finally have comments back, and people have started commenting like, "Oh my gosh, I remember your channel. You were my childhood."
Oh.
And people like reaching out and like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I found you again." And I'm just like, "Where did we go? Like we've been
Yeah.
here." Like we've still been putting out videos like, but that just goes to show that like YouTube just hasn't been pushing out our content at all. Like it's really, really hard to be seen anymore.
Do you have comments on videos that are marked made for kids?
No. So
Okay,
all of
just the
those
other
ones
ones.
that we
Yeah.
have, yeah, those ones are still all turned off. But moving forward, yeah, the
Cool.
videos
Got
that
it.
we make now, we can do that.
That's awesome. That's gonna help with engagement and help push those videos
Yeah.
forward. That's incredible.
Yeah. And it helps a lot for sure, but it's still just, yeah, the when you're trying to put out like teen stuff, and I think the algorithm is kind of like, wait a second, you're I'm supposed to be pushing you out to kids. I don't know.
Right.
It's very confusing. But I've heard of some channels that have done it very successful. A lot of
Pivoted.
them have, yeah. And so I've just held on to hope that maybe that will eventually happen. But
Sure.
I'm not holding my breath.
Sure. Well, I think Cookie Swirl C, she did it
Mhm.
successfully
Oh,
with
did she?
I believe so, with Roblox videos.
Why is this
Um
so odd?
it is so odd, and I don't know why Roblox is like that's a kid game, but
Yeah, it's yeah,
but she's killing it.
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you hear of that happening. And I, there was a toy channel that my manager and I like closely followed that they kind of same thing. Their kids got older and they pivoted to more like challenges and teen stuff. And they did it well and they're doing fine. But I don't know if it was just the type of videos that we were making before where it was so heavily, focused on makeup and kids skits and stuff like that, that if it's just not able to transition, I don't know. It's such a mind-boggling thing to even try to figure out that,
Right.
yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
then I wonder, like, do I start a new channel and put
Yeah.
these new like style videos on the new channel? It's really hard to know what to do.
Well, and that's the thing too, is because I've heard so many people that like, so they have friends that have created new channels that have maybe 10,000 subscribers that are making more money than we are off of our views
Whoa.
now. And it's just like, I mean, they're getting not very many views at all, and their channels are getting the higher rates because they have the personalized ads. And it's just, even though they're not getting tons of views, they're making a lot of money. And so that's where I go to, is I'm like, okay, do we just start a new channel that just
Right.
complete chance to grow? But it's just, oh, it's so hard letting go of those subs that you already have. Not that they're really doing much for you anymore, but
Right. Right.
so I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there. I wish I knew.
Same. Same. Yeah, we're in the same predicament. And we'll make, I don't know, in the past 6 months we've probably made 4 videos. Like, it's so hard to get
Yeah.
wrap my head around it
Yes.
and feel motivated to do it when,
Yeah.
even if it got a million views, I mean, the payout on that is not
Mm-mm.
that
It's
great.
nothing.
It's not
Not
that
at
great.
all.
Not at
Nope.
all.
And that's what's so frustrating and disheartening. It makes it so that you don't even want to create content. And that was a big thing that, like, my kids still wanted to make content, but at the same time, I was in this space where I had just gotten divorced. And so I was running this ship by myself. So I'm a single mom and I'm trying to figure out, like, now my income has gone down 90%. So I'm like, I don't have time to do all the editing or pay an editor to be making all of these videos and putting all of my time and effort into this kind of content because it's not making me any money anymore.
Mhm.
Even though, my kids love it. And so we still try to put out videos and try to be on a once a week schedule, but that gets harder and harder when you've got to put your eggs in other baskets to just survive.
You just casually mentioned like 3 really intense things that you went through
Yeah.
all all within like a year or 2.
Oh man, my world got turned upside down when all of this happened. It just felt like a big storm that just dumped.
I mean, COVID was hard to deal with,
Mhm.
that lockdown stuff, and then, uh, you went through a divorce, and then you got
Mhm.
a 90% pay cut,
Yeah.
and we're not exaggerating, those listening, we're not exaggerating. It's like a legit 90% pay cut. Like,
Yeah.
no
No, I
stretch of the
talk
imagination. Yeah.
No, I talk about it like on my TikToks and reel videos, and I am very transparent, like with what we were making with brand deals um and YouTube AdSense money. I mean, we were making substantial amount of money. Like,
Do you talk about specific numbers?
yeah, absolutely. If
So
you're okay with it, I'm always
of
open. Like, we
course.
were making $500,000 just off of that stuff a year.
Wow.
And so it was just between the brand deals. I mean, we had brand deals that one video, we were charging $25,000 for one
Sure.
video.
Yeah.
And so it's just like you do a couple of those and I mean, it was amazing.
It
And
was
no
amazing.
stretch of the word, like, very blessed and lucky.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
I look back on it, I'm like, man, that was a time. That was a ride. But, and then you go to, I think my channel now is making maybe $1,200 a month,
Yeah, about the
if
same.
that. And
Yeah.
so, and it's just steadily gone down and down and down, and it's kind of just hovered there now. But, it's just when you go from making that kind of a money to the bottom, it's really hard
It's very
and
humbling.
very humbling, but it's also led to a lot of other things. Like I just, with all of that, like I said, I'm kind of that person that's just like, okay, like something's broke, you got to fix it. Like, hey, what do we do next? And so, it led to TikTok and Reels on Instagram that has been really fun. Like I said, I started streaming. I did Twitch for a while. I gamed, which I never thought I would do. And it was super fun. The community there was awesome, which then turned into music. I streamed music for a while. So it's just like, life is a ride. And I've tried to really keep the perspective that like money comes and goes and it's always going to be there. You're going to, and so I just have tried to pivot and just focus on what I love more than trying to chase the dollar. Because at the
Right.
end of the day, that can make you go insane.
Well, you started your channel because you love makeup and film and you
Yeah.
enjoy editing, and so it
Yep.
just kind of happened,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah. And so I'm hopeful that, I've had a lot of success in the other social platforms too. Like a lot of people don't get that ever on any of
Right.
them. And
Right.
so I feel extremely blessed to be able to do what I do and to be able to stay at home with my kids and to be able to do that. And I recognize that that is extremely hard to do. And I feel very lucky to do that. But it's also really hard when you think back on the glory days.
Right. Right. Right.
So what
But
have I want to know though, like what have you guys decided to do?
with our channel, or
Yeah. Hmm.
we don't know. We don't know. So we started in 2017. We started a company called customthumbnails.com. So
Uh-huh.
it's a subscription service where our team makes thumbnails for pretty much just YouTubers, but some podcasters as well.
Uh-huh.
And had we not started that then, we would have been in really bad shape
Oh
when
man.
COPPA happened. So that's kind of the bread and butter right now. And
Yeah.
we have an
Bless.
awesome team of designers and great clients.
That's awesome.
So that's been good. Yeah, but Epic Toy Channel, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
because the kids who watched our Paw Patrol videos, in 2015, they're not watching
Yeah.
Paw Patrol anymore.
Nope.
So do you age up with them? But the algorithm doesn't think that way.
Right.
So I don't know. I
It's
don't know
still
what to do.
pushing you to kids.
Yeah.
Not pushing you.
Yeah. 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 And then, right before all this happened, we were talking to toy companies about making Epic Toy Channel toys, and we were
Yeah.
talking to um like very base level talks with food manufacturers to have like kid snacks branded with our brand and
Oh my
stuff like that.
gosh.
So there was also a point where Cassie and I kind of looked at it and we're like, ooh, do we really want this life for these children? Like,
Yeah.
do we really want to? Because there is a thing here with consent. Like, they're into it now, but are they going to look back? How do we make sure that their interests are best protected moving forward? Right.
Yeah. Totally. Yep.
And so there was a point where it's like, even before COPPA, we're like, okay, let's just kind of keep it at this level.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, the brand deals, that's an interesting thing when, we had DreamWorks TV reach out to us once for a brand deal, but they wanted us to make, what was that dinosaur? They were like robots, but they were dinosaurs. Dino trucks, I think is what it
Oh
was.
yeah. Yes.
They hired us to play with their toys for
Hmm.
their channel. It's like DreamWorks hired us to play with toys for
Oh.
their channel. Like, that's so freaking cool.
Oh, so cool.
Or
I
when
know.
DC Comics couldn't, like, there comes a point when you own quote unquote search results
Hmm.
for enough brands that they're like, hey, if we want to break through, we need to hire these people because
Yep.
they have all the algorithm juice for
Yep.
these things. So
Exactly.
DC Comics, Hallmark, I mean, Hasbro, Mattel, like
Yep.
the coolest brands. And one thing it did for me that I'm realizing is the whole experience opened my eyes as to what is possible and what's within reach,
Yeah.
like, and just knowing that like you can kind of stumble into something like that
Yeah.
and ride it is pretty freaking epic.
Oh, totally. It opens possibility.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool to be able to say that you've done it.
Yeah. Well, and so now, like with this podcast, I reached out to some freaking incredible people that I have no business talking to, but I'm leveraging the success that I had with Epic Toy Channel
Yeah.
in getting guests. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I've got some people on the calendar who my approach was, hey, I have a YouTube channel. It's for kids, it has 2 million subscribers, over a billion views. And I started a brand new podcast. Do you want to be on? And they're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's so cool. So many people are just willing to talk about whatever because you have this clout, because you've done it, you've lived it, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Totally.
That's awesome though.
Did you start a clothing brand?
I did kind of. Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to start with my platform is, my platform, I talk about a lot of like serious things, like things that I've gone through, whether it's, losing all my money from YouTube to divorce to, just hard life stuff. I try to bring light to that stuff, but then I try to make people laugh because I feel like this life can really just tear you apart. And I think keeping your sense of humor is just the way to get through it. Like that
Mhm.
was a quote that my dad had always said. And so that's kind of what I shaped my platforms around. And so I wanted to create or have something of my own that I could share and sell with people that are just like funny sayings that are on like mugs, t-shirts, stickers that just make people smile. And so it's called thesmilethings.com. And they're just quirky t-shirts or sayings or whatever. And I have so much I want to work on with it, but my father passed away like right as I was launching the website. And so it's kind of just stayed stagnant where it is right now. But yeah, I just tried to really diversify into different things. And that was one of them, is just something to make people smile.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
My mom passed away right before, well, it's been 5 years now. But yeah,
Yeah. I'm
just
sorry.
add it to, thank you. Add it to the stack of
Yeah.
crazy life things that,
Oh, I swear. Sometimes it feels never ending. And
right,
it's right at that same time.
right.
Did you kind of notice, like, I'm always fascinated how it hit other channels. Like, was it a big wave? Because with our channel hack happening at the same time, like it's really hard for me to gauge like what was actually COPPA induced as opposed to our hack. But did you notice like a huge wave that it like your views dropped, or was it kind of over time?
I'm gonna say it was a huge wave, and I want to say that everyone said, "Oh, January 2020 is going to be when it hits." It felt like it was a. I thought we escaped it for a minute, but it was
Yeah.
a few months later
Yep.
that the faucet was just shut off,
Mhm.
and
Yeah. That's
that changes the dynamic of the family too, because when the thing we do, one of the things we do is, hey, we're going to script at night, and then once a week we're going to shoot this fun video,
mhm.
and then you stop doing that. That kind of changes things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how it happened for us too. I think it was a little more because our hack happened right. It happened in October, but we didn't get our channel back until January. And
Whoa.
then, yeah. And so when we finally got the channel back, then COPPA started taking into effect. So it just felt like for us, it was just slammed shut, and then it couldn't get any traction to come back because of what COPPA did.
Did they take the channel down, or you just didn't have access to it?
So they took it over, put it on, or they changed like all the passwords and everything, and then they made it look like they deleted the channel.
Mm.
And then so when we would go into it, it just looked like nothing was there anymore. And so on YouTube's end, it was this brand new hack. We were like one of the first ones that it happened to.
Jeez.
And so when we were like messaging YouTube about it, they're like, no, your channel's there, everything's fine. And
What?
it's like, no,
It's actually
look,
not.
I have nothing. And so it was a really tricky way that these hackers were doing it. And so, but I don't know about you. I haven't talked to my like, what do they call them? Channel managers, or
Yeah.
I haven't talked to mine in years. Like, and I was trying to reach out to them to try to figure out like what is going on. I couldn't get anything from her. So I finally had to reach out on like a Facebook forum and just like, can anybody help me? And luckily, there was a YouTube family that they are just massive. That the dad that kind of runs the whole conglomerate of all of them was like, "Hey, I heard about your story. Let me get in touch with my people at YouTube," because they were top
Sure.
tier YouTube.
Yeah.
And luckily, he was able to get his guy on it, and they were like, "Whoa, this is crazy. Like this hack is
Whoa.
nuts." And they were able to finally figure it out, but it did. It took 2 months to finally get our channel back. And the damage from that I don't know what the algorithm did at that point. It just killed our channel. And then trying to build
Yeah.
back when Kappa's like,
Right.
nope. It was just it was not fun.
Well, it's like the algorithm would say during that time, like, "Oh, the audience doesn't like this channel anymore. Everyone stopped watching for 2 months." They don't
Yes,
it doesn't give you credit for the fact that it was hacked. It's just
right.
like, "Oh, no one likes this right now." And so
Yep.
when you got it back, the algorithm's like, "Well, no one likes this channel anymore.
Yeah,
So why
shouldn't
are we
push
gonna give you
this anymore.
views?" Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so silly. No, I
Yeah.
talked to our rep, probably March of 2020, and it was, the advice we were given was just not very
Oh, so
sound.
generic.
Not very sound. Yeah, it was rough. It was
Yeah,
rough
there
to
was
say the
no
least.
advice. It was just like, yeah, just do this and it'll be fine. At least that's what ours made it sound like. Like, this is
Oh,
not
geez.
fine.
Oh, geez, yeah. So so people listening, you right, some might be YouTubers, some might be former YouTubers, and some might just be people who have a job, but they're going through a hard time. Dusty, you've gone through, I think I've counted 4, like, really intense things recently. How are you staying afloat? What are you doing?
Ah,
What's your
it-
secret?
my secret. No, there's no secret. I wish there was. Honestly, there's been ups and downs. You know, being a content creator, like, people are like, oh, you're so lucky, that a lot of times people glorify it in the sense that you shouldn't have hardships or shouldn't be able to talk about it.
Right,
But it's like, we're humans too. And that takes a toll on people psychologically. And, I really just had to step back and just try to look at the bigger picture of things and just say, like, I believe this life is about learning.
mm,
And the stuff that I was going through, I was just like, okay, whatever, this is happening for a reason, and I'm supposed to learn from it and I'm supposed to grow from it. I think the hardest part about that though is like I didn't know where to grow. So yeah, I've just tried to again, like keep my dad's saying in my mind, keep my sense of humor and just try to focus on something else. Try to focus because at the end of the day, we're creators, right? Like that's
mhm,
why we started in this industry is because we love to create. And so even though starting over sucks, I had to get in this mind space of like, I did it once. I can do it again, whether that's with another channel or a different platform or whatever. At the end of the day, I just love creating content. I love
right,
storytelling. I love being able to speak to people through social media and connect with people on a level that you never ever would get without this kind of technology. And so I've just tried to really focus on being grateful for whatever level that is and just create because I love to create. And
right,
so if as long as I focused on that, I've always been okay. I've always been able to pay the bills. The money has come and I think so many times when I try to like chase the money, that's when I'm not doing the best.
right,
Because what you can have and it's changed so much ever since Kappa like and just social media in general. Like it's
right,
become this beast that is just it's changing the world.
right,
So, TikTok creators and Instagram like and like when lockdown happened, like TikTok's been around for a while, but that it like blew up
blew
over
up. Yeah,
lockdown. And so and even me, like I got on the app because of lockdown. I had nothing else to do. So we started making dumb videos on TikTok,
right,
and so that's where that kind of grew and so there's always going to be that kind of stuff throughout social media and so I've just really tried to focus on just doing what I do best and that's just I love creating through video. I always
mm,
have, whether that was wanting to be a filmmaker or whatever. That's just my passion. And so I've just tried to focus on that and tried to use that as my guide no matter what I do, whether that's going to be starting a new channel and people that are wanting to do it, like do it. if you've ever had that feeling, like there is nothing greater than just for yourself, like not putting it out there in hopes that you're going to get the views or the likes, but just making something that you can put your name on and just being like, yeah, I'm putting that out there and I like it. Nobody else likes it. I don't care, but I like it.
Right.
And so I think that's where I've gained a lot of my power back and a lot of sense of my stability is just I'm just doing what I love, no matter how that looks financially.
Sure. I love it. I love it. And it doesn't matter if there's 30 other people doing what you want to do. You just do it. Just
Yeah.
do it. It doesn't
Because nobody
matter.
can say it or tell it or do it like you do it.
Right.
I know that's so cliche. So many people say that, but it's true. I think the biggest hurdle for people starting any kind of social media is just that imposter syndrome, just feeling
Mhm.
like I mean, I've felt that before many times, but that's you do it anyway.
I talked to my little sister about this yesterday because I wrote a book and I just
Mhm.
got it back from the editor and I'm like, I can't publish this. I
Yes.
can't.
Yes, you
I
can.
can't do this. And she's like, shut up, Justin. Like, let me read it. And
Yeah,
I'm going to publish it, but for the
good.
first time in a long time, I'm like, I shouldn't do this.
No, that's when you absolutely should do it. If you're scared to do something, that is when you absolutely should do it.
I'm
What's your
terrified.
book about? That's amazing.
It's called How to Achieve Anything, which is such a caveman title. Like it's
Oh,
so
I
like,
love that.
but it's the thing I landed on. So it's How to Achieve Anything, the guide to getting it done now. So
Mhm.
anything I've been successful at comes down to a few set of principles.
Yeah. Hmm.
I and that wasn't on purpose. It's just I've like reverse engineered Epic Toy Channel, custom thumbnails, and some other things. I'm like, how did
Hmm.
I do that? Oh, it has this in common, and this in common, this in common.
ABC. Yeah.
And so it's an easy read. It's probably like 180 pages or so, but just kind of how to get things done. And ultimately, my audience is probably my kids. I'm like, hey,
Mm.
like, I hope to live till I'm 80, but just in case I don't, here's
Oh, that's so
kind of
cool.
how I did some stuff.
Yeah. Which is huge having that guidance. And I think that's awesome because I think if you break down anybody's success, Oprah Winfrey, I mean, anybody,
Mm,
I think you're right. I think it comes down to a few specific things that those people do
mm.
that lead to it. And no matter what you do, I think that's so cool. I'm excited to read it.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'll tell you how I wrote it real quick. It took 4
Yeah,
days. 4 days is
really?
all. Yeah, and
Oh
here's
my
how I
God.
did it.
That's amazing.
Well, so I mean, I've sat down to start typing books like time and time again, and I never
Yeah.
finish. But what I did was I would go on walks and I would open up my like Gmail app and do
Uh-huh.
voice to text
Yeah.
and do a 45-minute walk, and that was a chapter.
That's
And
so cool.
then the next day or later that day, another walk, another walk. And over the course of 4 or 5 days, I had this book. Now it was a beast for the editor to edit because I didn't
Yeah.
include commas,
Oh
you know.
no.
but but that's how I that's how I did it. And I highly recommend if you definitely have a message to share. I highly recommend
No,
going
that's
down
so
that
cool
road.
because I don't think I could write a book, but I can talk all day long.
Totally.
I could
Same.
totally record my thoughts
Same. And
and
then,
feelings.
find a good editor and it's history.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to pay for inventory. I'm going to put it on Amazon, print on demand,
Oh yeah.
and it's not a
So
money
smart.
grab. Yeah, well, it's not a money grab either. Like it's more like a resume than anything.
Yeah.
I'll charge $8. I might make $3 a copy. Like
Yeah.
it's not to make money from really. It's just
Yeah.
to share the message.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you're focusing on that stuff though, is when you have the most success. So
No, thank you.
I hope it goes great for you.
Thank you. I'm pumped. I'm
Yeah.
pumped. I
I
don't
love
know
it.
what I'm making, but I'm making something like with this
Yes.
podcast, with the
Yep.
book, with other things. Like I
Yeah.
have no idea what it's going to look like in the end,
Yes.
but
And I think that's what you have to do when you're a creator. Like, I mean, I went to gaming. Like, you
yeah,
know, I never thought I would be like, I was, gosh, I don't know, that 4 years ago. I was 30 at the time, and
oh,
I'm
that's
on
awesome.
here like playing Call of Duty, you know what I mean? But it was just like, whatever, sure, I'll try it. And then, lead it just I don't know. There's so many different things that you can do within the realm of creativity that it's just a lot of people just don't do it because they're scared.
Right.
And I just say do it because you're scared, because I feel like that is when you have the chance to make something great.
Ah, I love it. Dusty, I think this is a good place for us to end this.
Yeah, this
On
is
a,
an
on
awesome
a
conversation.
inspirational high note. Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I really appreciate your time and your talent, and I'll put all your links in the show notes. So
Thank you.
for those who aren't familiar with your work, they can find you. And I was so happy to see before we started this today that you are still creating content on your YouTube channel. That's really
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. Like I said, my kids love it. So we don't do it quite as much. My daughter is so busy with sports and boys and and friends and but she still loves it. And I've just told her, you do it until you're ready to stop, or she fully intends on taking it over when she's 18. And
Sweet.
right now she's like learning all the stuff that I do now, the thumbnails, the editing and all that. And so it's just something that she loves to do too. So as long as that's there, then I'm all in.
Oh, I love it. That's so awesome. All right, Dusty. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Justin.
You got it. Take care.
Bye.
See ya.